Novo Nordisk reporting better than expected fourth quarter net profit this morning, but the company did forecast a sales slowdown this year. Joining us right now to talk more about it is Novo Nordisk's CEO, Lars Jørgensen, and our CNBC Health and Pharma reporter, Angelica Peebles. Angelica?
Hey, Becky, good morning. And Lars, it's nice to see you. Thanks for joining us on this busy morning. Now, this morning on the call, you said that you're seeing about 200,000 weekly prescriptions for Wegovy in the U.S., and that's double what you saw last year. But there's a lot of concern out there about your ability to stay competitive with Lilly and if we're seeing a slowdown. So what are you seeing and how are you going to stay competitive against Zepbound?
Well, we have a fantastic product, and I think so far what has really been gating the market performance is the availability of supply. And of course, in the beginning of the year, you often see some formulary changes that also move the scripts a bit. So we are quite confident that as we move into the year and we'll be supplying more and more of our starter doses, we can see a nice step up in our volume and serving more and more patients. And the guidance we have given for this year also, you can say, testifies to an underlying significant ramp in our business. So we're quite confident both in the demand in the market and also our ability to supply and compete in that market.
And I want to talk about the pipeline for a second, because it's been a rocky few months for you with some of the readouts that you've had. So between CagriSema and amycretin, how do you anticipate that you're going to stay ahead, and where should we really be focused right now?
Yeah, I think we had the opportunity on our just completed conference call with analysts and investors to really explain that when you have a potent biology like what we see with CagriSema, it's important to understand that you actually amplify the difference across patients. So what we see is that there are a group of fast responders that really lose significant weight loss, actually more than 25% throughout the trial period here, and many of them approaching a BMI where they're no longer obese. And then we see also a subpool of patients that continuously keep losing weight and actually have not plateaued at the end of the trial. So they need, say, longer treatment. So I'm very confident in the potency of the biology we have here. And we also showed some data that is actually very well tolerated from a GI side effects perspective. So CagriSema is strong, and we'll do some more data to show that. And then we also seen amycretin in a phase 1A, 2B study. 1B, 2A study, really showing a very, very nice weight loss over a 30-some week trial period. And we hope that we, in dialogue with the agency, can find a way to move into full development of that relative shortly. So a real strong pipeline to compete with for the near-term future. We've also just started phase 1 trial of a triagonist. So again, a next generation compound looking at three biologies in one molecule. So I'm really excited about our opportunity to drive growth in this space.
Lars, I'm curious about pricing, particularly in the U.S. If you look at the price of your drugs in the U.S. versus the rest of the world, they are, as is typical, much higher. But typically healthcare insurance plays a role in this. But look at the average price in the U.S. is $969. In France, it's $71. What do you see going forward on pricing, and could that have an impact on margin?
Well, I think it's important to note that here you're actually comparing apple and pear, so to say, because, for instance, the German price is actually on a low dose, not the high dose, whereas in U.S. it's pricing before rebates. So these are not fair comparisons. What I see in the U.S. is that pricing is coming down. It's typically seen across all categories that you launch at a relative attractive price, but then you give rebate concessions year over year, and net price moves down. And for mature products, pricing in the U.S. is actually low compared to Europe. So if you look at insulins, for instance, what government pay in the U.S. is actually lower than what governments pay in Europe. So it's a different market structure, but I think it's a known structure, and I think it works because we also bring products that drive down healthcare costs by serving some of the comorbidities that actually leads to the highest part of the healthcare cost in a country like the U.S.
And on pricing, of course, Wegovy and Ozempic were selected as part of this next round of Medicare price negotiations. You've been through those negotiations before. What did you learn from the first time around, and how do you anticipate that this negotiation will actually change the price of those two drugs?
Yeah, that's right. This was largely anticipated based on the success of these products in the market, making it one of the big drug categories. So we had all along anticipated that. And as you say, we had a prior experience with our insulins. And overall, I think we managed that quite well. It has changed a bit, say, the gross to net model for insulins. Instead of having a list price and rebates, you trade on a net price. So I think there are a lot of learnings there. And if you look at our GLP-1 business, of course, it's only a smaller part of our overall book of business that goes to the government. There's still a commercial channel. And of course, we also have the innovation we talk about. And there's still a very large volume opportunity. We are only serving today around 1.5 million people living with obesity in the US. And we have access to 55 million of those. So there's a volume and there's innovation play that also means that I believe we can handle the IRA. And as long as you're innovative and you serve big markets and untapped opportunities, I think this plays out to the benefit of patients, healthcare systems, and also our shareholders.
And have you had an opportunity to speak to the new president or the new presumptive HHS secretary? And if you haven't spoken to them, if you were able to have that opportunity, what would you ask them, or what would your priorities be?
So I have not had such an opportunity, but I have noticed that there are many similar objectives. As a company, we are investing significantly in the US. We have more than 10,000 employees in the US. We have a number of expansion programs going on. Just one announced a few months back is a $4.1 billion CapEx program taking place in North Carolina. I've also noticed that there's a key interest in say, health and dealing with chronic diseases. That's the purpose of our company. So I think we have many overlapping objectives, and we are happy to engage with any policy maker in any country in how we can join forces in achieving these, what I would say, win-win-win, win for the patient, win for healthcare system because you forgo some of the comorbidities that are associated with chronic diseases, but also win for the economy in terms of increased economic activity level. And when you create all those win-win-wins for society, obviously we'll also be winning as a company. So I think this is a really good, say, topic to have a debate on.